Hey everyone, welcome back to FT News. I'm Myra. So, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage just ended its second season. And honestly, I don't even know what the show is trying to be anymore. At this point, they should seriously rename this series to Random Young Sheldon Behind the Scenes. Because what are we even watching? The biggest problem with this entire season is simple. Nothing important actually happened. And that's crazy because last season's finale literally teased marriage problems between Georgie and Mandy. They hinted at possible cheating, complications, tension, relationship issues, actual stakes. And then this season arrives and basically ignores all of it. You could genuinely skip most of the season and still fully understand the next one. That's the problem. The show keeps pretending something major is coming, but then refuses to actually do anything meaningful. And if you watched Young Sheldon, this pattern probably feels very familiar. For years, people kept waiting for the major emotional storylines. George cheating, George dying, the family completely falling apart. But instead, the writers stretched everything endlessly and kept delaying major developments over and over again. Now Georgie and Mandy feels like it's doing the exact same thing. Now, to be fair, the finale itself wasn't terrible. Actually, parts of it were entertaining. The hour-long finale mostly split into two separate storylines. One focused heavily on Audrey and Connor. The other focused more on Mary, Georgie, and the weird situation involving Fred Fagenbacher. And weirdly enough, the Mary storyline honestly became more interesting than most of the actual Georgie and Mandy material. Which is kind of insane considering the name of the show. Now, let's start with Connor, because his storyline definitely becomes the biggest cliffhanger heading into Season 3. Throughout the finale, Connor desperately wants independence. He wants freedom. He wants to stop being treated like somebody who constantly needs protection. And, honestly, Connor was right. Audrey's fears made sense emotionally, especially because she clearly knows her son struggles socially and processes life differently than other people. But she also started crossing the line into becoming overly controlling. Connor basically reaches the point where he realizes, if he stays at home forever listening to Audrey's fears, he'll never actually experience real life. And honestly, this was probably the strongest emotional storyline in the finale. Because even though Audrey's constant worrying became annoying sometimes, you still understood why she was scared. Now the finale keeps building tension around Connor's road trip. And the entire time, it genuinely feels like something horrible is about to happen. Then finally, near the end, Connor calls home from a police station in Lubbock. He's been arrested. But the show intentionally refuses to explain what actually happened. And honestly, this ending felt extremely unnecessary. It almost felt like the writers realized, oh wait, we need a cliffhanger. So suddenly Connor gets arrested. And now Season 3 will probably drag out another mystery instead of focusing on the actual marriage storyline everybody wanted. Now meanwhile, Mary's storyline with Fred unexpectedly became one of the more entertaining parts of the finale. And honestly, this relationship came out of nowhere. Previously, Mary barely tolerated Fred at all. So suddenly seeing them grow closer feels random, but at least it creates actual drama. Because Georgie immediately assumes Fred is manipulating Mary somehow. And from Georgie's perspective, that makes total sense. Fred has spent so much time messing with people and creating chaos that naturally Georgie doesn't trust him around his mother. But at the same time, everybody starts treating Mary like she's incapable of making her own decisions. And that's why she gets angry. Because from her perspective, everybody basically keeps implying she's too naive to recognize manipulation herself. Now, one thing the finale did miss completely was Missy. And honestly, that feels like a huge wasted opportunity. Because imagine how funny it would have been seeing Missy make sarcastic comments about Mary suddenly getting involved with Fred after constantly criticizing everybody else's bad choices. That could have been comedy gold. Now here's the frustrating thing about this entire season. Some episodes were actually entertaining while watching them. That's true. The cast is great. The actors genuinely try their best. Connor is entertaining. Georgie still works as a character. Audrey creates drama. Mary has some funny moments. But the overall story feels completely directionless. Nothing builds momentum. Nothing makes you desperate for the next episode. And honestly, I had almost zero excitement for this finale because the show trained me to expect absolutely nothing major would happen. But even then, I still thought they would finally tease something serious involving Georgie and Mandy's marriage. Instead, the finale barely focused on their relationship at all. Which is insane considering the entire show is literally named after their marriage. And this is where the biggest frustration comes from. The creators already know the show will keep getting renewed. So it genuinely feels like they're intentionally slowing everything down because there's no pressure to progress the story. That's exactly what happened with Young Sheldon too. Important events constantly got delayed because the writers knew audiences would keep watching anyway. And now Georgie and Mandy feels trapped in that exact same cycle. Slow pacing is one thing, but this doesn't even feel slow anymore. It feels lazy. Like the writers are terrified of actually changing the status quo. Now as for Season 3 theories, the biggest storyline will obviously involve Connor's arrest. The show intentionally left it vague enough that literally anything could have happened. Maybe it's something small and comedic. Maybe Connor got manipulated by someone during the road trip. Maybe the show uses the situation to push Audrey into becoming even more protective. But honestly, my biggest fear is that they'll stretch this storyline forever too without meaningful payoff. Now another major Season 3 setup is clearly the growing tension between Georgie and Mary over Fred. That relationship is definitely going to create more family conflict moving forward. Especially because Georgie clearly believes Fred cannot be trusted. And eventually, Mandy herself may also get dragged into that family drama. But again, none of this addresses the main issue. Georgie and Mandy themselves still barely feel like the emotional center of their own series. And that's a huge problem. Because when Sheldon talked in The Big Bang Theory about Georgie having multiple wives later in life, audiences expected this prequel to slowly build toward those relationship disasters. Instead, the show keeps avoiding major emotional consequences. And eventually, viewers start losing patience. Now overall, this finale had some entertaining moments, some decent comedy, and a few emotional scenes. But as a season-ending payoff, it felt deeply disappointing, especially after all the teasing last season. The cast deserves much better material because right now they're carrying writing that feels completely afraid to take risks. And unless Season 3 finally starts progressing the actual marriage storyline seriously, more viewers are probably going to start checking out emotionally. Thank you for watching this video, sending you lots of love, and I'll see you in the next one.